what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Monster Hunter World video, and today I wanted to talk with you guys about some of the things that I would like to see in Iceborne. The expansion is an eternity away, but I've been wanting to make this video ever since the announcement trailer, so let's get into it. Before I do, these are in no particular order, by the way. Also, before anything else, this guy replied to my comment on Eric's video saying that if I included evading lances or evasion lances in this list, that he would instantly sub. So, Capcom, add in evasion lances. Boom. Easy money. Okay, so for real, first off, let's talk about the things in the base game that I would like to see an improvement on. First, layered armor, okay? A lot of the people, especially if you play games like Warframe, you'll know that Fashion Frame is essentially the true end game. A lot of the times, players that play this game for a long time, the thing that they want most are cosmetics, and I can definitely relate to this. So there are some armor sets in Monster Hunter World that you can use as layered armor, which is like a weird transmog, but I would really like to see every armor piece in the game available as layered armor, and I think a lot of people would be really happy about something like that being added to the game, especially since apparently it's a thing in previous games. I also think it's a pretty simple thing to execute in the way that they've set up Monster Hunter World. I don't think there's a very huge overhaul that they have to do. Simply add a new tab when you go to craft armor in that little section where it says armor, weapons, armor sets, etc. Just add in a tab that says layered armor, and then from there you can just craft each individual armor piece as a layered variant of that armor. If they wanted to balance this, they could have rare materials that only drop under specific conditions in a fight with a monster, or maybe gate it to quests or quest related items, or, you know, for example, maybe this is just coming off the top of my head because I've been playing a lot of Dauntless recently, but maybe add a resource called, I don't know, Transmog stones or something akin to that, where it's a material that you need additionally to the components of the base armor for you to make the layered version of that armor. Or maybe they could just simply make it drops from specific versions of the monster. So let's just say that they add a arc-tempered G-rank Rathalos, and the materials for the layered armor only drop from that, making it an endgame activity and give players something to chase after. So this would give players a whole bunch more time to do, a bunch more things to do, especially, you know, they get to pick and choose exactly how they want to look, which is a huge plus. There are so many armor sets in this game that I think look really cool, but they are trash, so I never wear them, and they're not available as layered armor, especially the new Gamma armor. Not all of them are available. I don't think any of them actually are available as layered armor sets. I think it's only Behemoth, and it's like, it feels bad. So giving players cosmetic things to chase is always huge, and I think it would be a huge improvement for the game as a whole. Anyway, something in the same vein would be weapon transmogs. I would really like to see some sort of skins that you could apply to them. I understand this would be a bit more difficult for some weapons like the switch axe, but I think most weapons would be really easy to make skins for. Like, seriously, there's so many ugly weapons in this game. It's literally just monster parts taped onto an iron slab or a chunk of bone, and you know they can do it because almost every single weapon is literally this same goddamn model with new stuff on it. It's not very difficult. That's probably how they designed every single weapon in this game. Anyway, moving on from cosmetic stuff though, this is more of a quality of life improvement. Sometimes I craft two of the same weapon just so I can augment it differently. So for example, I have a Diablos Tyrannus 2 with an affinity and a health regen augment, and then I have another one with a affinity augment and an attack augment, for example. But something that I hate, that I run into all the time when I'm doing this, is having to create a goddamn bone hammer every single time and go node by node upgrading it. I would love to see a feature added into the game where if I have the materials for the base weapon and all of the steps necessary to go to the weapon that I actually want, the upgrade that I want, the game would just let me craft it directly and just charge me the parts that are needed for the entire thing. The game will just tell me, are you sure you want to craft the Labia Constrictor 3? This will cost 6,969 Zenny, 42 pelvic floors, etc, etc. Just charge me once and let me craft the damn thing I want without having to go node by node, finding it node by node, and keep upgrading it. It's annoying and it doesn't make any sense. Another thing I would like to see related to weapons are weapon perks. Now that we have skills on weapons, I'd like to see this more widespread in Iceborne, maybe some skills that are exclusive to weapons, or even having weapons from the same tree as the armor, counting towards a set bonus, for example. So let's just say that you have the Devastation's Thorns, which is the Nergigante CB, and then you're also wearing the Nergigante coil and the Nergigante helmet, and you need 3 pieces to get the haste and recovery set bonus. Having the weapon equipped would count towards that. I think that would be really cool, and it would allow for some really interesting build paths, especially with some of the set bonuses that are pretty good, but people usually don't spec for them because they require too much investment, like for example the Valhazak set bonus, or the Orogaran set bonuses, the Punishing Draw, and of course Protective Polish, but Protective Polish, nobody specs for that because there's a jewel for it, so why would you? So yeah, I think that would make some space for some really interesting and diverse sets, and that's something that I would love to see. Just in general, just a lot of diversity in the endgame, having a lot of monsters have really good weapons and gear, but that's a whole other discussion. Not gonna get into that right now, at least. Speaking of monster gear, I would really like to see an improvement to the armor augmentation system. With weapons, augmenting them heavily changes up your build or your playstyle. It's a meaningful choice, but augmenting armor just helps you not get one-shotted as easily. That's it. It's not really a tangible or a rewarding investment. It's just one that you have to do, and you do it just because you do it while you're progressing into the endgame. So I'd really like to see a system where upgrading your armor, similar to weapons, upgrading them only increases their base stats and their base value. Armor sets do not have that. You make the base thing and that's it. The only way that you increase the base defense of it is by augmenting it. But I would rather them have me create a base armor piece, then spend armor cores upgrading that armor piece, and then give me a bunch of different abilities as augments when I go augment the weapon. So for example, you could have something where you can give your armor an extra slot, similar to the way you can upgrade slots on weapons. Maybe something that increases the first skill point on that armor piece, or the secondary skill point. Obviously this would require some tangible balancing and some restrictions, of course, but maybe an option to increase the elemental resistances of the armor beyond what it normally gives, you know, as an extra bonus, so you could really spec for elemental resistances, or just augment the armor's base value even more, the same way that with weapons you can just add a straight up attack increase. And weapons also have a lifesteal augment, and I think that having a thorn augment would be pretty cool to have on armor. Basically, whenever you get hit by a monster, the monster takes a percentage of the damage that they dealt to you back to them. So it's kind of like the yin and yang of lifesteal versus thorn, and I think that would be really cool to have on armor. And there's a bunch of stuff they could do if they just replicate the system that they have for weapons as armor as well. So that's something, an idea that I've had for a very long time, and I would love to see them expand the augmented system for armor. Now, this next thing on my wish list is a little weird, and it's only really something that would benefit us buildmeisters and theory crafters, aka sweat lords. I would like to see some improvements to the training room. Some new things to mess around with, maybe like a lever that when pulled drops an axe that deals a crapload of damage to you, so you can practice your dodging, or for you to gauge your defenses if you're specking for a health boost build or something like that. Maybe add a fire pit that I could walk over and it'll deal fire damage to me, apply the proc, or something like that. Just something for me to test defenses, because when you spec for a defense build, there's really no way for you to test it. The little bomb in the training room does like 1 damage, so there's really no tangible way for you to see how much damage you could mitigate with the different skills and things like that. And there's a lot of people out there that don't go for the optimal DPS builds, they go for defense builds or support builds or stuff like that. So it'd be pretty cool to have those tools there. Something else that I had an idea for is a snack bar. Maybe you could have like Meowster Chef Junior have a little like soda stand somewhere. Maybe a sort of cat that caters to the training area. A catering cat. A caterer. Okay, I'm sorry. And you could order any meal, and all the meals on the menu just give you a one specific meal perk. Regardless of whatever ingredients you have, you can just choose exactly what meal perk you want, so you can test out the different effects of the different meals in different situations. I would love to see something like that. It would really help the really niche part of the community, but it's something that everybody would really appreciate, I guarantee you. This next thing on my wish list is really random, but can we please have Palicoes in 3 or 4 player? G rank, or whatever the hell its equivalent is supposed to be, is the hardest mode in the game, right? Well, I think having Palicoes would help quite a bit in that higher difficulty, especially for casual players. And I just think it would be really cool to see all 4 hunters and their furry companions just ride together to kill a Deviljho or something like that, at least in my opinion. Now, when we talk about the game as a whole, monsters and everything like that, everybody is going to have a list of monsters that they would like to see come back, and when you ask people for their wish list for Iceborne, it's usually just a long ass list of old monsters that they want to see back into the game. But World is my first Monster Hunter game, so I don't really have a connection to any particular monster. In fact, Nergigante and Xeno'jiiva are my favorite monsters, and they're both new from World. So I would really like to see some new original monsters made just for Iceborne. Of course, I'd love to be able to experience the legend of like Nargacuga, which is pretty much confirmed, Rajang, Tigrex or Tigrex, Zinogre, and all those kind of guys. But honestly, I'd rather see a lot of new monsters and just a handful of returning ones instead of the other way around. After all, this is the new world, right? With that being said, that's something that I would really like to see as well. Variety, not just in monsters, but endgame variety. Not just fighting 4 elders for all of eternity, not fighting tempered elders, not fighting the same goddamn monster but in its arc-tempered version. Actually different fights. Make the armor sets and the weapons from all the monsters good. Make it hard to choose. Make it hard to decide between sets. Make it so that there's truly no best set out there. Because even though there's people that argue that there aren't any best sets in World, the truth of the matter is that there is a very clear meta in the game, and there are skills that are just so unbelievably powerful that you just can't skip out on them if you were actually looking for an optimal DPS build. Like, you are never going to see anybody not go with weakness exploit. You're never going to see anybody try to not negate negative affinity. There is a particular way of fighting that is most efficient, and those are just the facts. So I would really like to see a game where that is much more widespread and not so select in its weapons. I'd like to see all these weapons and all these armor sets being really good and having decent perks on them, maybe adding new perks, new skills, etc., new set bonuses that change up stuff really well. Like, for example, there are some armor sets in the game that I think needed a perk or a set bonus a long ass time ago. I always said that Kulve Taroth should have a 3-piece set bonus that whenever you break apart, they have a chance of just dropping a trade-in item. I think that fits her theme perfectly. I don't know why Capcom didn't do it, but maybe they can introduce some other mechanics, like for example, breaking a monster's part, like the leg or something, increases that area's or that part's vulnerability to damage or something like that. Introduce some sort of bleeding damage mechanic that's not as bad as poison. Who the hell uses poison in this game? So yeah, I would really like to see that. Actually, now that I think about it, no, don't make it too good because then I won't be able to clickbait my videos. Anyways, that's it for today's video, guys. But before I go, I do have something I wanted to talk with you guys about, and that is that since the event is now over, the Winter Festival, and Arc-Tempered Kulve Taroth is gone, there really isn't much happening in Monster Hunter right now until the Appreciation event, and then even then, there's only going to be 1 new armor set to craft, and that's about it. So I have been playing other games, mainly Dauntless, which is what you guys are seeing on screen right now. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's essentially a Monster Hunter Lite. It's a free-to-play monster slaying game. It's an open beta on PC right now, and it's actually coming to console this April with crossplay. So I've been playing it pretty much non-stop for the past few weeks, and I really like the game. So I'm going to start making content for it, trying to be one of the front runners for the game for when it comes out on console, and I'm going to try and get partnered with Phoenix Labs, the developers of Dauntless. So I would really appreciate it if you guys supported the content on the channel. The game is great, and if you like Monster Hunter, this is honestly like a breath of fresh air for the genre, and if you have a PC, the game is free, so give the game out a try for yourself. I'll leave a link in the description where you guys can download it, and also in the description, as always, is a link to my Discord, so click it and join up, fam. And that's gonna be it from me, lads. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more content in the near future. I want to thank you all for watching and supporting the channel. I appreciate all of you, some more than others. I'm kidding, but seriously, thank you guys, and I'll see you all in my next video. Take care.